I never expected my so-called childhood sweetheart, Jason Miller, to be the one who would end me, and I sure as hell never expected to open my eyes again with a chance to rewrite everything. But here we are this time. I'm not playing nice, and I'm done being the sacrificial lamb in someone else's tragic romance storyline. In my last life, Jason made me fetch intel for his precious class goddess, Vanessa Collins, about where she was planning to apply for college because he was too much of a coward to ask her himself, and because I'd been stupid enough to love him all these years. I did it without thinking twice, only to have Vanessa lie to my face with a teary performance about how badly she messed up on the entrance exam and how she had no choice but to go to a junior college. Well, like the idiot I was, I passed her exact words on to Jason, and that bastard, blinded by a crush he mistook for destiny, threw away his top scores for Peking and Tsinghua just to follow her to some third-rate school. And when I tried to stop him, tried to tell him it wasn't worth it, he looked me dead in the eyes and said I was just jealous of her, that no matter how hard I tried to impress him, he'd never like me, that I was wasting my breath. Then came the day of the admission results, when Vanessa dropped her bomb, a suicide note saying she'd gotten into Tsinghua after all. And Jason's junior college stunt had broken her so badly she was going to kill herself over it. And what did Jason do? He came straight for me, rage burning in his eyes, screaming that I'd ruined his future, and pushed me off the 28th floor without even blinking. And when the cop showed up, he flipped the whole story, saying I'd manipulated him and jumped out of guilt. Vanessa backed him up with a live stream full of fake tears and twisted truths, painting me as the jealous monster who tore their true love apart, and the internet ate it up, made them a national couple, the kind people ship so hard they forget there's a body buried underneath, which in this case was Minami. Dad tried to fight for justice, but he never stood a chance against rabid fans. They beat him to death trying to silence the truth, and just when I thought I'd been erased from the world, the universe hit rewind and dropped me right back into the moment Jason first asked me to find out where Vanessa was applying, like some cruel test to see if I'd make the same mistake twice. But not this time. This time, when he shoved me and accused me of being petty and jealous, I didn't break down. I swallowed the hatred that clawed at my throat, straightened my back, and calmly said, I'll go ask now. Even though my heart screamed to slap him in the face, and just like before, Vanessa gave me her little act, fake crying into my arms and claiming she'd bombed the test and had no shot at a top university. But this time I smiled and asked, really? Which junior college did you apply to? Because unlike my past self, I'd figured it out. She'd cheated her way into every top 3 class rank, and junior college was her true level, not a fluke. And now that I had the truth and the audio recorded for proof, I returned to Jason's place, repeated her exact words, and watched his eyes light up with blind infatuation as he shouted he'd change his choice to follow her to junior college. Back then I'd tried everything to stop him from throwing away his future, but now I didn't say a word, just turned to leave and let him walk straight into the pit she'd dug for him. But he noticed something was off, grabbed my arm and snarled, "You're not going to try and stop me? That's not like you." And the next thing I knew, he was ripping the phone out of my pocket and smashing it against the wall, locking me in his basement, tying my wrists with a belt like I was some kind of threat to his fantasy, and all I could do was scream at the top of my lungs, begging him to let me go because I hadn't even submitted my own application yet. But Jason didn't care. He thought I was scheming again, thought I'd ruin his plan like last time, and he left me there in the dark, bleeding and broken, while the clock struck midnight and I missed my shot at college entirely by the time my dad kicked open the basement door and wrapped his arms around me. It was too late, or so I thought, until he whispered, "It's okay, honey, I submitted your application for you." And I collapsed into his chest and cried harder than I ever had in both lives combined, because in that moment, I realized I wasn't powerless anymore. And this time, I was going to burn Jason Miller and Vanessa Collins to the ground, and I'd do it one lie, one receipt, one live stream at a time. When I woke up the next morning, the bruises on my wrists still stung, my forehead was throbbing, and the dried blood made my hair stick to my skin. But none of that mattered anymore, because this time I wasn't the victim, I was the executioner loading the receipts one by one. And as I sat on the edge of my bed with my dad's voice echoing in my ears, reassuring me that my application had been submitted just in time, I thought back to the nightmare of my last life, the moment when the whole Internet turned me into a villain and made Jason and Vanessa the perfect couple, the ones who sacrificed for love, who overcame betrayal, who chose each other against all odds. Yeah, odds stacked on my corpse. But this life, I was still breathing, and that changed everything. I pulled out my new phone since Jason smashed the old one like a lunatic and triple-checked the backup of Vanessa's audio confession that my dad managed to recover from the old phone's storage, and just hearing her sugary little lie about having her period during the exam made my blood boil, because that wasn't just a lie to me. That was a lie crafted to ruin Jason's future and build her career off the chaos. And you know what? I was going to let her go ahead. Vanessa, have him. Take him to the same pit where you'll both rot, but don't think for a second that I'll let you make me your stepping stone again. Not after what you did to my dad. Not after what you did to me. Sure enough, just like clockwork, Vanessa made her move the very next day by posting a flirty little voice message in our class group chat, thanking everyone for their support, gushing that Jason and she had promised to apply to the same school, and that it was all thanks to Emma for delivering the message. I nearly gagged, watching her act like I was her bestie, like I was thrilled to play Cupid for the two lovebirds, and of course the comments lit up with skepticism, some people saying it was suspicious I'd help when I'd always had a thing for Jason, others straight up calling me petty and manipulative, but I didn't take the bait. I kept quiet, just like Vanessa wanted, because silence makes liars nervous, and right on cue, she tagged me and dropped her little trap. Emma, I believe in you. We should totally have a class dinner when the acceptance letters arrive. I'll treat you to thank you properly. The message dripped with sugar, but everyone knew it was a setup. Just another chance for her to turn the spotlight on me and paint me as the reason Jason went to a junior college, and honestly, I was more than happy to play along, because I'd be bringing my receipts to the party, and when the masks came off, I wanted the whole class watching. So I said sure, I'd come, and the group chat exploded with side eyes and whispers, but I didn't flinch, because this time, when the humiliation started, it wasn't going to be mine. They were going to eat each other alive, and I was going to live stream the feast. That night, I sat on my bedroom floor in silence, staring at the ceiling, remembering every scream, every comment, every lie that led to my death last time, and I promised myself that no matter what happened, I would never beg again, never cry in front of Jason Miller again, and never let a fake queen like Vanessa Collins rewrite my Storino. This time, I would let her wear her crown of thorns, let Jason follow her into the hell she built with her own hands, and when the time came, I'd drag their betrayal into the light and remind everyone just how easily they worship monsters if the lighting is good enough. And just like that, the countdown began, and I was ready. The moment I stepped into that private dining room, the air shifted, side eyes and whispered giggles bounced around like ping-pong balls, and every fake smile aimed at me felt like a blade dipped in glitter. Someone muttered, "She really showed up, huh? Shameless," while another one giggled, "Bet she's just here to throw herself at Jason again. Desperate much?" And through it all, Vanessa Collins sat at the center like she was hosting a red carpet event, her curls perfectly styled, her lip gloss sparkling under the ceiling light, raising a wine glass with faux elegance and purring, "Emma, thank you for everything. It's because of you Jason and I are finally together." Like we were old friends toasting her engagement instead of mortal enemies in disguise. Jason Miller, of course, was right beside her, eyes glued to her like she was the answer to every midterm exam he ever failed, and his voice oozed devotion as he said, "Vanessa, no matter where you go, I'll follow." It was so cheesy I nearly rolled my eyes, but I didn't flinch, didn't speak, just stood in the corner and let the show go on, because the second act was coming fast, and it was going to burn. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a classmate ran in, panting and red-faced, waving a big envelope like it held the cure to cancer. "Jason, your acceptance letter's here," and the room exploded with cheers and, "Open it, open it," like we were on some reality show and this was the season finale. Jason gave a dramatic pause, handed the envelope to Vanessa with a tender look that would have made fans swoon, and said, "You open it. I wanted it to be a surprise anyway." And I swear, I could see the anticipation coiling in Vanessa's smirk like a spring-loaded trap, her fingers trembling just enough to look delicate as she tore the flap open. Then silence, thick and ugly, because her smile cracked, her face drained of color, and her voice trembled as she read the result. Why? Why does it say you got into a junior college? Jason, you said we applied to the same school. Did you change your mind? Are you breaking up with me? The confusion in her voice was Oscar-worthy, and Jason, ever the clueless idiot, blinked in shock and blurted, "No, I didn't. I applied with you, I swear. Emma told me you didn't do well, and we're only aiming for a junior college, so I changed my choice to be with you." And boom, there it was, the detonation point. Vanessa's tears started flowing right on cue as she sobbed, "That's not true. I told you I did great and applied to top schools. Emma's lying. She tricked you because she's jealous." The crowd turned to me, faces twisted with outrage, and Jason's fists clenched as he snarled, "Is that true? Did you lie to me again?" I met his eyes, steady and cold, and said, "I told you exactly what Vanessa said. I didn't twist a thing. She said she bombed the test. Period." But no one wanted logic, not in a room full of people drunk on drama and loyalty to the class beauty, and Vanessa sniffled, looking wounded and betrayed, whispering, "Emma, how could you? I trusted you," as if she hadn't destroyed my entire life once already. Jason's face darkened with rage, and before I could even react, he slapped me across the face, and the taste of blood flooded my mouth as he hissed, still pretending to be innocent. But I didn't cry this time, didn't beg or run. I stood tall, wiped my lip, and calmly said, "Fine. Let's settle this with proof," and pulled out my phone to play the audio clip, Vanessa's own voice ringing loud and clear. "Emma, I had my period during the test and didn't do well. I can only go to a junior college this time." And for a heartbeat, the room fell into shocked silence as the words hung heavy in the air, the faces around me flickering with confusion and doubt, and Jason's expression started to falter, but Vanessa, snake that she is, didn't miss a beat, clutching her chest and crying, "Louder! That's AI. That's not my voice. Emma's framing me." And then, because she always goes big or goes home, she launched a live stream right there in the room, crocodile tears glistening as she sobbed to her followers, "I've always ranked top 3. How could I possibly end up in a junior college? Jason, you believe me, right?" And Jason, spineless as ever, grabbed the mic, aka her hand, and said, "Emma's lying. She probably faked the recording to ruin us." And just like that, the pitchforks came out, the room turned on me, and it was deja vu all over again as people screamed in my face, "You ruined his future. You're evil. You'll never be forgiven." And even as I tried to speak, tried to get one word in, the crowd surged forward, grabbing at me, one girl shoving me hard against the table so my wrist scraped across the wood, another guy raising a bottle like he was about to smash a pin at a Somione, even shouted, "Strip her, take pictures. Let her feel what humiliation really is." And I felt my breath catch, my chest burn, my knees go weak as panic set in, but I clutched my shirt and screamed, "If you don't believe me, then get the damn audio verified by a professional." And just when I thought they were going to kill me again, just like last time, the door slammed open and my dad stormed in like a hurricane, knocking people aside and yelling, "Touch my daughter again, and I swear you'll regret it for life." And the moment I saw him, bloodied and furious, but alive, something in me snapped back into place, and I stood up, shaking but steady, as my dad pulled me behind him and growled, "You want truth? Fine. We've got video." The room went dead silent as my dad pulled out his phone, blood still dripping from his temple, and I clutched his arm while struggling to stay upright, my ears still ringing from the bottle that cracked over my skull. Opened the video file, hands shaking with fury, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "This is surveillance footage taken 2 days ago. Watch it and shut up." And then he hit play, and just like that, Vanessa's carefully curated image began to shatter second by second. The footage showed her meeting a guy in a dark hoodie at a coffee shop, not just meeting, making out like a couple reunited from prison furlough. Then came the audio, her voice clear as a bell, whining, "You're so useless. You helped me cheat for 3 years, and now you can't even get me through the real exam? If I get stuck in a junior college, my whole life is ruined." And I swear the oxygen got sucked out of the room as people started whispering, "Is that really her?" And my dad fast-forwarded to the next part, where she leaned over the table and hissed, "Don't worry, I've got it all planned. Jason's obsessed with me. I just have to act like I bombed the test, and he'll throw away his Peking and Tsinghua chances just to follow meth, and I'll frame Emma for breaking us up and ride the pity waves straight to the top. I turned to look at her then, and the expression on her face was everything I'd waited 2 lifetimes to see. Her lips twitching, sweat pouring down her temples, and her eyes darting around like a rat in a burning kitchen. "It's fake," she shrieked. "It's all AI and deepfake. You people are so gullible." But this time, no one jumped to her defense. Not even Jason. He just stood there frozen, his jaw slack, the life draining from his face as his so-called goddess revealed her fangs on camera. Some classmates started muttering things like, "I always thought it was weird she never studied but got top scores, and she really scammed the whole system." But Vanessa, desperate not to lose control, turned back to her live stream and began sobbing again. "I'm just a normal high school girl. Why are they doing this to me? Her family's rich. Of course they can fabricate anything." And that was when I snapped, my voice slicing through the chaos like a blade. "You guided netizens to dox me, cyberbully me. You got my dad nearly killed trying to protect me, and now you want to play the victim again." I turned to the crowd, blood running down my face, wrist bruised and swollen, and I pointed at each of them like I was counting corpses. "And you, every one of you, who just beat me, who said I deserved to die, who called me a liar without even checking the facts, you're all accomplices in the circus." But before anyone could say a word, another voice boomed through the door. "Enough." And in walked our homeroom teacher with the school principal behind her, both looking like they'd seen the story trending online and realized their cushy jobs were on the chopping block if they didn't act fast. The teacher's face was stormy as she snapped, "Vanessa Collins, what have you done? You failed your exam, lied to your classmates, and manipulated people into violence." And the principal didn't even bother with nuance, pointing directly at Jason and roaring, "You were our top Peking University candidate, and you threw it away for what, some girls' crocodile tears? Do you realize what this does to our school's ranking?" And just like that, Jason crumpled like a house of cards, his body sagging as he whispered, No, this wasn't supposed to happen. She said she loved me." And then, like something out of a thriller movie, he lunged across the room and grabbed Vanessa by the throat, screaming, "Why did you lie to me?" "I gave up everything." It took 3 guys and 2 teachers to rip him off her as she choked and flailed, her face turning red and blotchy, gasping for breath. And when they were finally separated, Jason stumbled back, clutching his chest, and collapsed to the floor muttering, "It's all over. Everything's ruined." I looked down at him and felt nothing but satisfaction, no sympathy, no remorse, just the bitter joy of justice finally catching up with the golden boy and the queen bee. And as Vanessa sat on the floor sobbing and begging Jason to believe her, he curled his lip and spat, "Don't talk to me, Ori, disgusting." And the crowd? Oh, the same people who worshipped her minutes ago were suddenly silent, some even backing away like she carried a virus. And as the cops stepped in to begin rounding people up for questioning, the entire live stream feed erupted with comments switching sides faster than stock traders, from "poor Vanessa" to "she deserved it" and "Emma was right all along." And I stood there, cracked and bleeding but victorious, watching their world crumble just like they tried to do to mine, because this wasn't the end, it was only the beginning of my payback. Vanessa forgot to end her live stream, and that single mistake became her death sentence, because the entire meltdown, Jason's breakdown, the teacher's accusations, the surveillance footage, the slap, the choking, the begging, it all went viral within minutes, chopped up into reels and stitched across every platform like a digital crime scene on loop. And the same people who once trended Vanessa and Jason forever now flooded her comments with vomit emojis, rat memes, and death threats, calling her a manipulative fake who destroyed a top student's future just for internet fame. And honestly, I didn't feel bad, not even a little, because karma wasn't just knocking, it had kicked her door down and spray-painted "liar" across her forehead in neon pink. Meanwhile, my classmates who beat me half to death suddenly remembered they had morals and begged me to forgive them, crying outside my house with flowers, voice notes, and crocodile tears, saying, "Emma, we were just deceived by Vanessa too. Please don't press charges. We're classmates, right?" And I laughed, not because it was funny, but because they thought they could beat a girl into the floor and walk away with a group apology and some cake, like we were in a bad teen drama instead of a real assault case with a hospital bill and permanent scars. So I showed up to every hearing, every mediation meeting, every police statement, and I made sure not a single one of them walked out of this untouched 15 days in detention community service, and their full names linked forever to the assault case of the girl who tried to save her classmate and got nearly killed for it. Even then, they still begged me to have mercy because the internet was now coming for them too, doxing them, leaking their personal info, and flooding their social media with hate, just like they let happen to me without blinking, and all I said was, "You should have thought of that before you hit me." As for Vanessa, she got the worst of it because after the live stream, the footage, and the cheating scandal, her address was leaked and people sent dead rats and red paint to her door. Her face got turned into memes, and even the brand deals she never secured dropped her preemptively like she was contagious. Desperate, she tried to call on Jason to beg him to do a joint statement and spin the narrative, say it was all a misunderstanding, but she had no idea that Jason had been locked in by his dad, forbidden to see anyone, especially her. And by the time he snuck out to meet her again, he wasn't the same guy who blindly followed her to junior college. He was hollow, broken, vibrating with rage, and when she tried to smile and act like none of it mattered, like they could fix it with one video, he snapped, pulled a knife, and stabbed her in broad daylight, right in the same alley where they used to sneak kisses behind the school library. Vanessa Collins died on the spot, and when my dad told me the news, I didn't cry, didn't smile either. I just looked out the window and thought, so this is how the script ends. Because in our last life, they became a couple loved by millions, profiting off my grave, but in this one they destroyed each other without me lifting a finger, and the irony was so sharp it could have cut glass. Jason was arrested for first-degree murder, and on the day they hauled him to prison, he screamed like a man possessed, shouting that it wasn't supposed to end like this, that I was the one who should have died, that he was supposed to be the hero, the one who got the girl, the sympathy, the spotlight, but instead, I lived and he lost everything, and I just watched him from the crowd with a blank expression, knowing that he remembered everything from our past life too, but it was too late. Threw away his future, his love, and his soul, and I was no longer the girl begging for scraps. I was the one writing the ending, and this time, I was making damn sure it was mine. After Jason was sentenced, everything quieted down like the aftermath of a storm. No more hate comments, no more hashtags, no more eyes tracking my every breath like I owed the world an apology for surviving, and even though the silence felt foreign at first, like standing in the wreckage of a battlefield with no more enemies to fight, I finally understood that peace wasn't the absence of noisy, it was the moment you stopped needing to scream just to be heard, and for the first time in 2 lifetimes, I could breathe without feeling like I had to justify it. Vanessa was gone, her house abandoned, mailbox overflowing with hate mail, the red paint still staining the front steps where people had written things like murderer and fraud in dripping letters that no one bothered to clean, and the classmates who used to follow her like she was the second coming of Audrey Hepburn now crossed the street when they saw me, heads down, voices low, terrified of becoming the next trending villain, and maybe they should be, because the internet never forgets. And now they knew what it was like to be on the wrong end of a narrative they helped weaponize against me, but I didn't retaliate, didn't drag it out, because I didn't need to anymore. I'd already won. And revenge wasn't about how loud you screamed. It was about how calmly you walked away while they tore themselves apart. And when Vanessa's old friends circled back weeks later, offering half-hearted apologies and awkward smiles, I just looked at them once and said, "You chose your side when it mattered, and now I've chosen mine." They didn't come back again. I enrolled in my new university that August, my name officially cleared, my body still healing, and my dad by my side every step of the way. He installed 3 extra locks on our apartment, changed my phone number, bought me pepper spray, and insisted on walking me to the dorm on the first day even though I was technically a grown woman, and I let him because after everything he did for medicing beatings, collecting evidence, dragging the truth into the lives deserved at least that. The campus felt like another universe. No Vanessa, no Jason, no ghosts whispering in my ear about how I wasn't enough. And for the first time, when people looked at me, they didn't see a scapegoat or a side character, they just saw a girl with a name and a future, and I liked that. Some days, the past would still creep in the memory of cold cement against my back, blood in my eyes. Jason's voice filled with hate, but I stopped letting it define me because I'd already died once. And this time I wasn't going to waste my second chance trying to make others believe I was good. I was just going to live like I already knew it. And maybe that's the real ending. Not some big Hollywood scene or poetic last line. Just a girl who got back up, brushed off the blood, and chose herself over the story others tried to write for her because I'm not anyone's plot twist. Not your tragic ending, not your villain or martyr. I'm Emma Lawson, and this time, I'm the main character.